Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is November 11, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 175 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention, like I mentioned in every video, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their Visa Bulletin, which was actually a brand new Visa Bulletin that just came out December 2023. No changes on it. So if you are dealing with the family reunification case, it's no good news, unfortunately, for the new Visa Bulletin release. Okay, so let's start with the very first question for today from Hebatala Ramadan 2635. Thank you very much for being publicly subscribed. This is what this icon means right here. So Hebatala says, I'm a mother of a US citizen and will apply for me. So which is the category we will look for? Okay, great question. Thank you for asking. So the good news for you is that you are going to be in IR5 category, which is immediate relative category. So that means you don't have to worry about the Visa Bulletin at all because there is no backlog for people in immediate relative category. So there is still amount of time that is involved. You're waiting for USCIS to review your case. Hopefully don't take too long and they approve it, there's no problems. Then your case gets transferred to the NBC. You're waiting for becoming documentarily qualified. Once your case is with NBC, your portal is immediately open, so you can start your documentary qualification as soon as you get a positive response from USCIS. I would recommend starting to do your research on what it involves, the process of becoming documentarily qualified. If you're not familiar with it yet, right after you're approved by USCIS, because as soon as it is transferred your case to the NDC, your portal is going to be open. So the sooner you can get through the documentary qualification process, the better it is, because once you're approved, really now you're just waiting for an interview, no visa backlog to deal with. Okay, so let me pause the answer here and we're gonna move on to the next question from, not a question actually, from Taish. Says, thank you, you're very welcome, thank you for watching. Next one from Raul Man says, hello sir, on which Visa Bulletin F22 category found? Raul Man, thank you very much, that's a great question. Finally I get an opportunity to explain that. So F22 is a subcategory of F2A, which is a F2A. It involves permanent residents petitioning for their spouses and also petitioning for their children. Okay, they're both in F2A. So if you're petitioning in F2A, if you're a permanent resident petitioning for spouse, your spouse is going to be F21, F21. If you're petitioning for child under the in F2A category as a permanent resident, your child is going to be F22, F22. So for you, F22, you're going to be looking at the F2A on the Visa Bulletin. Okay, so let me pause the quick answer here. We're going to move on to the next one from Otis Barnett. Says, okay for the Visa Bulletin. Yeah, Otis, that's exactly pretty much my reaction to that. I went through it when I was looking at it the first time and I was like, okay, no changes at all. Messed up, but sometimes this is just part of the deal. That's how it is. Sometimes it moves. Sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't. At least it didn't move back, okay? It didn't retrogress. So at least looking at the positive side of things, right? And I if you guys been subscribed to this channel, I myself have a petition. So, this is personal to me. It's not just something random I do, and I don't care about it. This is really personal to me. I myself am an immigrant. I myself have an I-130 petition pending for, my family members. So I can definitely relate. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Marianne Dumont. Marianne says, I filed I-130 for my brothers and sisters since 2010. They were approved, but since then I never heard anything. In that case, what should I do, please? Okay, Marianne, thank you very much for asking that question. So whenever it comes to siblings of US citizens, F4 category, forced family preference category, it is the one that it's one of the longest ones, depending on what chargeability area we're talking about. But if we're talking about all chargeability area, it's the one that takes the longest. So let's take a look at the Visa Bulletin and see what's going on for F4 currently. And currently, if we look at that graph A final action date, which is what we want to look at, if we want to tell the full length of the backlog that you will be waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa. Right now, it is showing April 2007. 2007. You filed your petitions back in 2010, okay? Which means that depending on which months in 2010 we're talking about, and depending on which chargeability area, you know, your brothers and sisters are from, but if it's all chargeability area, if we're talking about April 2007, roughly there's about 3 more years that you will be waiting for until their priority dates become current, which is when their immigrant visas become available. But let me take a look at the graph B now, which shows us when the NDC portal is going to be open. So as you can see, it is March 2008. So I'm assuming your brothers, sisters, they are not documentarily qualified yet. I'm assuming their NDC portals are still closed, because judging by the graph B, roughly there is another 2 more years before their NDC portal opens up. So it is pretty close, it is getting there, and in fact that's the same thing that I'm waiting for my brother. I petitioned for my brother about 3 years ago, so we have a lot more to wait on this one, but you are getting there. Your brothers, sisters are getting there really close. 2 more years roughly, very rough, keep that in mind, because Visa Bulletin, as you can see, you know, on this release, from November to December 2023, nothing changed. There was absolutely no movement, which is, you know, is obviously not very good. We want to see at least a month at a time movement every month. Ideally would be faster to clear out the backlog, but I honestly don't know what's going on with the Visa Bulletin. I cannot tell you. You know, people on, you know, if you do research, if you look at what people are saying around, it seems like it is still associated with the you know, accumulation from the pandemic that happened, because you know, everything was closed during pandemic. No immigrant visas were issued. Embassies were closed. So that's why we are experiencing this, you know, extra delay in the Visa Bulletin. But again, this is just a speculation. I don't think anybody will be able to tell you for sure why it's the backlog keeps accumulating, unfortunately. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Ivory 6744, waiting 3 years now just to get an interview. Priority date March 2015, documentarily qualified October 2020. Okay, Ivory, I'm definitely going to need your family preference category to be able to give you rough estimates on how long you will be waiting some more. If you are priority date 2015 and documentarily qualified 2020, let me see what's going on here. You might be, no, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can't tell. You might be F1, but you probably would have been documentarily qualified earlier if you were F1. So please, Ivory, if you can, come back to this channel, and that goes for everyone. If you're asking for rough estimates on the Visa Bulletin, I need 3 things. I need the category, the family preference category, you know, F1, F2A, F2B, F3, F4. I need the priority date, which you already provided, then that's great. And then the chargeability area. Chargeability area, I can look at the old chargeability area, but it still helps to know, just to be, you know, just to know for a fact. But yeah, I definitely do need, you know, the family preference category to look. That's one of the main things to look at the Visa Bulletin. So if you can, please come back to this channel and submit a separate comment. Don't respond to my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not send me those notifications, but submit it as a separate comment on any of the videos, and I will see it, and I will get back to it. Okay, moving further to the next one from Ghislaine Barreto. I heard that work permit applications are taking an average of 2 to 3 years. Is that true? Great question. Let's take a look. I might as well use this opportunity to demonstrate some navigation on USCIS, official government website for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So this is what the front page looks like. In fact, they updated it just like a few days ago. So this is like brand new look. You can find this link in the description below. So from here, we go to Tools, we click on this drop down Tools in the main navigation menu, and from here the very first link is check case processing times. So it actually kind of became a little bit easier to find it, which is good thing. So hopefully it doesn't take forever to load. Sometimes it does. Let's see. Okay, so in here we're gonna select that whatever form you're looking for, but in this case we're looking for I-765, which is the application for employment authorization. So I-765, there you go, application for employment authorization. Select that. From category, well, let's give it a little bit more time to load. Depending on from which category that you are applying from, based on parole, based on being, H4, L2, being admitted as a refugee, based on approved asylum, there's a lot of different ones. So let's select for the purpose of this one, let's do this based on pending asylum, C8 initial application, and then it will give you options for all service centers. Sometimes it gives you more service centers, so depending which service center your application is processed in, that's the one you're selecting. How you can find it, it is on the receipt notice, the very first letter that you receive from USCIS whenever you applied for your employment authorization document. Get processing times, 1.5 months. Wow, that is fast. Okay, so that's for pending asylum application. Let's try for based on parole. Let's see if that's any different. There's only one benefit center here, National Benefit Center, which is online. 4 months. Wow, fantastic. That's pretty fast. Okay, let's do all other applications for employment authorization. See, it gives you quite a lot of options here. Let's select, for example, Texas. See how long Texas does. 3.5 months. Let's try California, just for comparison. Oh, wow, California is a lot longer, 15.5 months. So as you can see, wow, there is quite a huge difference between which category you're applying based on and which service center your application is being processed at. So I will put this link in my response so you can check it for yourself. But looks like, on a positive note, looks like in most situations it's faster than 2-3 years, so that's a good thing. So let me put the link. I'm gonna copy that right here, and there we go. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Comment from Jasmine Fernando. What category does the parent of U.S. citizen come under? Please reply and thank you. And then true facts say 2542 IR5. True facts. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you responding. And yes, Jasmine, immediate relative category. So no dealing with the Visa Bulletin. No dealing with the Visa Bulletin whatsoever, because there is no backlog. That is. What is a Visa Bulletin? Visa Bulletin shows you how much backlog there is for your particular category, okay? Immediate relatives, they don't have any backlog that applies to them. Once USCIS approves the I-130 petition, that is in immediate relative category, the immigrant visa is already available. The only thing you have left to do is become documentarily qualified, so basically establish with the NVC now, National Visa Center, which is part of, they're like with the Department of State, part of the Department of State, whatever, overlooked by the Department of State. Show them that the petitioner really qualifies to be a petitioner, and the beneficiary, really qualifies to be a beneficiary. And then you go to the interview with the U.S. Embassy, get that immigrant visa, and that's it. So, which still takes time. Don't get me wrong. It can still take up to 2-3 years. Even in immediate relative category, with all the processing, with all the back and forth. But obviously compared to family preference categories, like the ones that are listed on the Visa Bulletin, now we're waiting for backlog, and some of those you can wait for a very, very long time, unfortunately. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Muhammad LG Bali. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. What's up, my friend? Thanks for helping us. I'm a green card holder from Egypt, waiting for my wife to come F2A visa. I'm a little confused about her dates. We filed with USCIS on September 2020. Okay, got the approved on April 2021, and filed with NVC and got the case ready for interview on June 1st, 2021. So which date should we use to check out our wait time, and also which column? Thanks a lot. Great question. Excellent question. Thank you for asking. So you're looking at F2A. obviously. You already know that. It's F21, F21 subcategory because you're petitioning for your spouse. Now, the dates that you're looking at, your priority date is the date whenever USCIS received your case. And you can find that date on the very first receipt, notice of receipt, that's what it's called, that you received from USCIS saying that, hey, we have received your case. This is the date of the notice of receipt. That is your priority date. So it should be somewhere around September 2020. It can be September 2020. It can be October 2020. But that's what you're looking at. Now, since you're already documentarily qualified, well, your spouse is already documentarily qualified and ready for an interview, we don't need to bother with the graph B. We are just looking at the graph A, which shows the final action dates, meaning that from the start, from the priority date, how long before the actual availability of the immigrant visa. Because graph B, it shows us from the start up until when the NVC portal is going to be open. For you, it was already open, you're already documentarily qualified, so you don't need to worry about that. So we're looking at the graph A, F2A, obviously. Now, whenever it comes to chargeability area, you're from Egypt, and Egypt, they are part of the rest of the world, all chargeability area. So we're looking at the first column right here. Most of the category is going to be looking at the first all chargeability area right here. You know, unless you're from China, India, Mexico, or Philippines, then you're looking at these. But most of the people are going to be looking at this. So F2A right now showing February 2019. Okay, your priority date is supposed to be somewhere around September 2020, October 2020, all right? Which is about, let's say if it's October 2020, well, let's count September 2020, whatever. It's 9/2020, so you got 3 months in 2020, and then February you got 2 months. So that's roughly 5 months. So according to the Visa Bulletin for December 2023, roughly you have about 5 more months before the immigrant visa becomes available. Once it is available, the interview is scheduled, which can take some time for, you know, the scheduling and all of that sort of stuff. So you might wait, you know, a little bit longer than, you know, the 5 months. And in fact, Visa Bulletin, you know, sometimes it doesn't move like it didn't move in December 2023. So it might be a little bit longer. It's rough estimates. But on a positive note, you're very, very close. And well, now hopefully it was helpful, and you can, you know, look at the Visa Bulletin and you can kind of track it yourself, and, you know, and judge by how it is moving. But I definitely would recommend looking at the very first receipt notice that you received from USCIS, just to confirm, just to know your own priority date. Another place, and that goes for everyone, another place where you can find your priority date is within the NVC portal. It says right there, right where it says the category, right there it says the priority date. So whichever one is easier. If you cannot find the mailed paper, you know, the letter, the receipt, notice of receipt, just look in the NVC portal online. Okay, let's move on to the next one from DD24. DD24. I'm wondering, Dennis, is that you? Because it looks like it's a different profile. I don't know what happened with your old profile. But anyway, hi sir, good day. The new Visa Bulletin, there wasn't any change, anything. Is there any way we can reunite with our family? It's been so long. It looks like they copied the November Visa Bulletin and pasted to December. That's exactly what they did. That's really exactly what they did. And yeah, unfortunately, here's the thing. It's a great question. What are the options, you know, if you're waiting? Well, if your priority date is current, and if you are already documentarily qualified, you can submit an expedited request with the NVC to expedite your case with the NVC. And I've seen some people on this channel who commented who were approved for expedited processing. When expedited processing happens, basically what happens is US Embassy, where you're supposed to go through the interview, they are much faster at scheduling the interview. They can make an exception. They can call you up. They can send you an email and say, hey guys, hey man, listen, are you available next week? We can put you in next week if you're like. They could go and do that if your case is approved for expedited processing. Keep in mind, there's two major criteria that needs to that needs to be in place in order for them to even consider this expedite request is that you have to be documentarily qualified and your priority date has to be current, which is pretty much the end of the road. At that point, you're just waiting for an interview, so it really doesn't help with the backlog, with the visa. If you're waiting for the backlog, if you're looking in the Visa Bulletin, unfortunately, there is really nothing that there is to do, unfortunately. But if you're documentarily qualified and if your immigrant is available, take a look into that. I do have a video on this channel on how to apply for that expedite request. It's pretty straightforward. I would recommend checking it out. Again, if you meet those criteria, but unfortunately, if you're dealing with a backlog, there's really nothing you can do. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Maya Lopez. I'm Canadian and I recently got my contract renewed for 3 years in the USA. Can I, the employee, fill the form by myself? Thanks, Maya. I-129 petition. Okay, so that was a question on the petition for non-immigrant worker. So here's the thing. It's kind of like a both ways. Yes, you can absolutely fill it out yourself, but it has to be filed. It has to be submitted by the employer. So if you do have a trusting relationship with your employer, and if they're not, especially if they're not familiar with all of these, dealing with USCIS and submitting these immigration forms, which is a non-immigrant petition, but still, then absolutely, you can definitely fill it out as much as possible. You can do it for your part. You can help them fill out for their employer part, because this I-129 petition, there's both. There's for the employer and there's for the employee. So if you have a good relationship with your employer, then yes, you can fill out the whole thing if they approve it, and then you can give it to them. They can check it out, sign it, and then you can mail it for them. You can pretty much do everything for them. But it still has to come from them. So they are the petitioner after all. So if you can coordinate with them and if they're okay with it, then yeah, absolutely, you can definitely do that. But the petition has to come from the employer, so all of the mailing addresses, obviously the main signature in the petition, it has to be from the employer. So keep that in mind. Okay, hopefully I could answer your question. Let me post the response right here, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Hans Wally. My wife and me was documentarily qualified on 2nd July 2022. Congratulations for IR5 visa, so parents of a US citizen, sponsored by US national son. How long will they take to call for an interview? I'm a Pakistan national. Okay, so you are July 22. So you've been waiting for over a year now, being an immediate relative. That's a long time to wait. So I would say your interview should be pretty close. Thing is, Pakistan, the embassy, US embassy in Islamabad, I heard just from this channel, from comments, people from Pakistan, sounds like that embassy is crazy busy, okay? So the good news is that most likely your interview has already been scheduled. The only reason why you don't know when it was scheduled for is because they cannot announce the interview date earlier than 30 days. So let's say if your interview has been scheduled for March 2024, you're only going to find out, let's say it's March 1st, 2024, you're going to find out April 1st. March, April, no, never mind, not April, sorry, I'm going forward, backwards, February. You're going to find out February 1st. 2024, that your interview was scheduled for March 1st, 2024. So 30 days. Sometimes they do 60 days, but most of the times it is 30 days. With that being said, however, I would recommend calling the US Embassy and asking them, saying, hey, I am documentarily qualified. I am in immediate relative category. I was wondering to see if you could tell me when my interview was scheduled for. Because you've been waiting already since July 2022, I'm pretty sure your interview is already scheduled. Again, you just don't know the date because they cannot give you earlier than 30 days than the actual interview date. Sometimes they give you that information, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, no, you will have to wait for the official email from us scheduling your interview. But I've seen a couple of cases where people called and the US Embassy whoever was on the phone, they were understanding, and they were able to look into the system and tell them when they because it's an unofficial announcement, so it doesn't change anything. You just now know when the interview was scheduled for, but you don't have official announcement, so you cannot go and do medical examination. So it really doesn't change anything. You just now are more comfortable because, well, you know at least when your interview is scheduled. So I'm gonna give you the link for U.S. Embassy in Islamabad. Let's see. So I think there's only one embassy in Pakistan. I might be wrong, but let's take a look. I don't remember. So this is official government website, which shows bad gateway for whatever reason. I don't know why it's showing bad gateway. Maybe they're doing some updates, but this is the link where you will find the phone number for U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. I don't know if there's multiple ones, but might be just one in Islamabad. But depending on where your interview is going to be, give them a call. So I'm gonna post a response here, and I'll post the link right here, and hopefully it opens up for you. I'm gonna keep it open. I'll try to. I don't know why it might be. Oh no, there you go. It just loaded. Okay, so there is 3 consulates: Peshawar, Lahore, Karachi, and then there's an embassy in Islamabad. So I'm thinking you might be in the embassy, but again, they might schedule you interview in the consulate. I don't know, depending on your location. But depending on which one you're closer, depending on where you think your interview is going to be, here are their phone numbers. So let me put the link right here, and we're gonna move on to the next question from Mary Kuria. I'm from Kenya, priority date 2nd April 2007. Oh, been waiting for a long time. And F4, documentarily qualified 21st September 2021. F4, am I current? I'm pretty sure you are, because you are April 2007. So let's take a look at the Visa Bulletin graph A. We're looking at all chargeability area because Kenya. F4, so 22nd April 2007. And you are 2nd April 2007. So here you are by this Visa Bulletin, okay? By this Visa Bulletin right here, December 2023, you are 20 days away from becoming current, for your priority date to become current, and your immigrant visa becomes available. However, the not so good news is that, and I can personally relate because I'm waiting for my brother, and we're gonna be waiting for a very long time. The not so good news is that the Visa Bulletin for F4 have not moved for quite some time now. Let me check November, and here's a cool trick for everyone. If you want to quickly find a Visa Bulletin, you don't need to browse through the website. Just go into the link itself, into the URL, and instead of December, type in November 2023, and it will show up November Visa Bulletin. Don't be surprised by this 2024 right here. The only reason why it is in 2024 is because it's a new fiscal year since October, so it's going to be showing 2024. But if we check November 2023 Visa Bulletin, which I don't know why my internet is taking forever today to load anything, but it's been on April 2007 for quite some time now. So it's definitely very important for you to keep monitoring Visa Bulletin every single month it comes out. Once you see it move past the April into the next month, April, May, once it is in May, that's it. You are current, and your immigrant visa is available, and the U.S. Embassy, local U.S. Embassy in Kenya, they will start scheduling the scheduling process for an interview. Okay, finally, here you go. So November 2023. Yeah, you see November is still on April 2007. Let's try. Okay, if I go October, it'll probably again take forever. October 2023 didn't take forever. Again, April 2007, and we're gonna go to October, September. But for September, if you're going back, keep in mind you have to change the 2024 to 2023 as well, because now it's previous fiscal year. Again, April. Let's try to go earlier in the, let's go April 2023. I want to see where was the last movement that happened Oh, okay, so right around there. So you see, back in April, which is like, how many months? My math is horrible, sorry. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Quite a long time. And it's only been like 1 month movement ever since then, because it was March and it just moved to April. Yeah, so it does take longer than, you know, quite a lot of other stuff that is out there. So definitely keep monitoring. Hopefully it will move with the next Visa Bulletin edition, which is not gonna be up until the beginning of December. So somewhere closer to the middle of December, either come back to this channel or take a look at the Visa Bulletin. I post the links for the Visa Bulletin in pretty much every video that I do on this channel, so you can find it always, the most updated one. But yeah, you really are close. That's definitely good news. Hopefully it's gonna move for you and you will become current, and that's it, and get the interview. So thank you very much everyone for asking your questions. It's gonna be it for today. I'll try to address the rest tomorrow, hopefully in the next couple of days. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.